What is up, my friends? Welcome in to the channel Tennessee Podcast. It is January the 5th. What year is it, Austin? What year is it?
Oh my God! It is not 2024 anymore. It's 2000, the day of our Lord, 2025.
2025, our first episode of the new year. A couple things happened last week where we could not have a show, but we're back for the new year. Tennessee embarrasses Arkansas this past weekend. Rick Barnes is still Coach Cal's daddy. Tuesday, Tennessee's got Florida at Florida. And then I believe Saturday at Texas. So the schedule gets a little rougher for the next month. Next 2 months, actually. My Titans had the number one draft pick because the Will Levis show showed out, and my Titans have the number one pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Some more NFL news, actually. Former VFL Gerard Mayo is out in New England after just one season, which is, I find it kind of odd. But I guess when you screw up the number one draft pick, you lose your job, I guess, or they just have Mike Vrabel on deck. So
I think that's what it is. I think they're going to go get Vrabel before somebody else can.
I think that's kind of where they're headed there. And the Final Four of college football is set. The playoffs are set. Notre Dame versus Penn State and Ohio State versus Texas. That's pretty stout. Looks like, I mean, I got Notre Dame going past Penn State. I don't trust Penn State. And Ohio State, Texas ought to be pretty good. But we're going to get into all of those topics. But let's start with a topic that happened just a couple days ago or yesterday as we were live on this podcast. Tennessee embarrasses Arkansas, and they kind of just dominated that game from start to finish. Arkansas really didn't have much of a chance or fighting chance. But, man, that was fun in Thompson Bowling yesterday. It was a lot of fun. DR was there. Austin was there. Myself was there. A lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, man. Like Coach Cal said, we beat them like men.
Yeah.
We were like men and outmanned them, and just, they gave some fight that first 10 minutes. I thought, okay, we're going to have a good basketball game. This is going to be, kind of like one of those Auburn games. It's going to be pretty entertaining. And then we hit our next gear, and Arkansas was not ready for that. And Chaz Lanier went off career high 29 points. Sakai became the second all-time leader in assists in Tennessee basketball history with 500. Now his career totals at 582. And Felix Akpara actually gave like a worth a damn effort, and we got a good game out of him. It was a hell of a day, and Jonas Adu, had 4 points and the same amount of rebounds as Zakai Ziegler. It was a fun day, and in the Tommy Bowl. Yeah,
and I was sitting next to DR, and he was having a field day with Jonas Adu over there in the stands. So that was
and and the more I look back on it, I kind of regret it. Like, I honestly, Jonas, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. Thank you for leaving, because after watching him play, I'm like, that is why I did not want him to come back. Can you believe some booster paid $1 million, if that's true, to come to Arkansas? What a waste of freaking money. And he left because he wanted to shoot more 3-point shots, and he has not hit a 3-point field goal the whole season. He's peaked. He has not changed. He's peaked Jonas. He's afraid of contact. And, dude, that place went nuts when he missed both those two free throws, when he first shot the free throws. And student section was chanting Jonas sucks or Adu sucks, whatever it was.
Yeah, and what I really wanted to happen, and I leaned over and told you, and I really wanted to happen, was when it's the 10-minute mark of the fourth, the second half, the 10-minute mark, we get free Chick-fil-A if a player misses two free throws in a row. And I was praying it was going to be Jonas at the line and him brick 2 free throws, and the place would go absolutely berserk.
Oh, it would go insane. Well, and the place went nuts when him and Zakai kind of tied it up to get that loose ball. I thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Adu, didn't have one moment where he got to feel like, yeah, I got him there, or like, this is what they're missing. No, we just saw
You're
all
right.
the things we kind of were like, okay, glad that's off our hands. That's all we saw. That's all we saw. And I mean, there were a lot of Arkansas fans in attendance, and I'm just, why did y'all think this is going to work? Honest to God, just Coach Cal, the whole thing, everything Arkansas basketball. Why did you think this was the answer to whatever ailed you? I just do not understand, or I might never understand it. Coach Cal, he peaked in whatever 2012 or something like that. He has
With
reached
Anthony
his peak.
Davis. Yeah.
And like his style of basketball was killing right then. Which his style of basketball is this: getting the best recruits and beating everyone with them. That was his style. He rolled the ball out there and he had better players than you. That's all he did. Basketball changed a lot since those days, my friend. And if that isn't more clear, and no matter how much you bitch the ref, Cal, you're still gonna. This is what's gonna happen. Arkansas is gonna be like a 6 seed, and they're gonna lose in the round of 32. That's gonna happen, and that's what will happen next year if he's still the coach. And that's what will something of that kind of result will always happen because just his style is out. He will not adapt. All he knows is what he knows. He's going to be this. He's going to roll the ball there, have the same assistants, and he'll have a great recruiting class. I guarantee you. He even in the portal, he'll land a lot of talent, but he won't ever be the top dog ever again. He'll have good teams. He won't have great teams, and I put my money on that every day of the week.
Yeah, and I want to talk about I want to talk about Tennessee for a second though, because you saw Igor. He came in. He was really cold one night from three. He missed, I think, 8 or 9 in threes in a row or something like that, some number like that. And watching him come out and drain that three, I don't know if you saw it because I saw the replay. But after he drained a three, he turned around and just like celebrated like loudly, like he screamed out loud. Like he was so excited to hit that three, and then after he hit that three, it was game on, man. That guy had a day, man. 13 points, 18 rebounds. That dude had a day on the boards, and if we can get that consistently from him, just double digit points, that many rebounds, Tennessee is going to be very hard to stop. And if we could get, it's just we already have Chaz Lanier. That guy's just when you need him, he shows up. I thought he was going to drain 3 of those threes in a row. He hit 2 in a row, and he came down. I thought he was going to drain that third, and that place is going to erupt. But you have him, and if Dubar hasn't done much yet, but you've seen little flashes through like midweek games where he can actually step up and do some good things. So if Dubar gets going eventually in the next couple months, and you have Igor Milicic, and that squad, dude, that squad could be dangerous, man. Squad can be real dangerous. So.
I noticed that with Igor. You're right. It was almost like a relief. Like, oh, thank God I got the first 3 out of the way, and let's get rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is nice to see. And, man, what about Gainey, dude? He's just not even the same player. I would have never guessed in a million years that he would look like this. Thank God, with our lack of depth, we need him this year. Like, he's going to have to play like that all year, especially – I don't want to jinx us, but like especially we're going to get to that Final Four like we deservedly deserve. and you're going to have him all year, man. And you're going to have Igor, and you're going to have off nights, and that's what's going to kill you with the lack of depth. And we're not going undefeated in conference play, but I don't know. I will say this. I think Arkansas will be better by the end of the year. Most Cal teams are, but they had some good players, but they do not look like a good team. That's not a top 25 team right now.
Oh no! And you mentioned depth a second ago. They really don't have depth. Tennessee's lacking a little depth, but man, that team has 0 depth because they had those 2 players. My mind's blanking on their names. Number 2 and number 21 for Arkansas.
Wagner,
yeah.
Abalo or
yeah, they had number 2 and number 21.
Not Abalo, that's Indiana. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, number 2 and number 21. Those dudes were really good, but then they started to cool down, and that team just had nothing. They had no answers, no nothing. Speaking of depth, does that worry y'all? Do you think Barnes will like maybe pull like a Santiago like move where he kind of brings a guy in? Maybe, I don't know, because the depth it does kind of worry me a little bit.
We haven't heard of anybody.
I think it would have happened by now.
Yeah, me too.
I know the staff was looking, from what I've heard, but they didn't find anything. Or there might be one guy there's still, I'd say like a 5% chance. No, I mean, I haven't heard a straight no, but I don't think it's going to happen. And, we're just going to need Bishop Boswell to step up and be able to give us like 3 minutes a night, and Darlin Stone to be everything he can be. Here's the thing, though. Teams who make the big runs in the tournament, they usually just rely on 8 or 9 guys. It's not usually like Auburn where they're 10 players deep and 11 players deep. That's not exactly normal. Like you can do this with what you have. Now you probably can't sustain another injury. That's what's scary about it. Like when Cade Phillips was holding his arm there, my hands went. I was like this for a straight like minute because I just couldn't imagine if he got hurt. But he came back in and got a dunk, so I'm pretty sure he's healthy. So that's not a concern at the moment. But the way we play, we could get another injury, and that would be a major downfall for this team. But I'm hoping to God we can stay healthy and keep this up. This team, man. The thing about Calipari's team that really, like, you're like, oh, they have no depth. Well, they have no depth or continuity. None of these players played together last year, besides the ones that were at Kentucky that he brought over. No one was at Arkansas the year before that's on that team. It's a complete and utter mess. And you look at us with guys like Meshack and Zakai, we have so much continuity, so much familiarity, and that really helps. Even though you bring guys like Chaz and Darlin Stone and Igor, that they kind of can slide into that culture easy because you got veterans here that can like ease them into the process.
Yeah, and it's wild because Chaz, you said Chaz slides in, Chaz Lanier slides in, and like doesn't even miss a beat. And I saw a tweet earlier. It's like someone was like, "Quit comparing Chaz to Dalton." I'm like, who's comparing Chaz to Dalton? Like no one's huh?
There's a few people,
dude.
I saw a picture. It was half Chaz, half Dalton.
See, okay. So I haven't seen a whole lot of it. Like, but people are like acting like the whole fan base is comparing the two. There's no comparison. They're two different players. They both are clutch. That's the thing. They're both clutch. Dalton Connect was a lot quicker, a lot faster. Chaz Lanier is so smooth. He looks like he's going in slow motion when he's out there playing. It looks like there's like no one. It looks like he's moving so slow, but he's not moving slow at all. He's pretty quick, especially when he's like on the dribble, and it's really fun to watch. So Dalton and Chaz are two different players, and if people are comparing, I mean, I'm not on Twitter 24/7 like I used to be anymore, but like people comparing the two, that's crazy. They're not even the same player.
I've heard it on post game shows too, though, like because that's immediately what you go to because of last year. And like when we have a good team, it's like, was this the greatest team of all time? Which I hate talking like that, especially we are one conference game in. But yeah, I know that picture Austin's talking about, though. They showed that last Saturday's game. Is that what it was, Austin? I don't remember which game it was. But if you look at the numbers, Chaz's numbers right now is better than Connect's at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Number one scorer in the SEC, points per game, by 2 points. That's crazy, man. I will say, the comparison, Connect is better than Chaz. I mean, definitely at this point, or the final product of Connect season last season is better than what Chaz is doing now, and that comparison should not be made. But at the same time, I got to give it to them that what Chaz is doing, we kind of did bring him in to fill the Dalton Connect role. The offense is exactly what we were running last season, and we're just kind of where we would put Connect in those spots. We're putting Chaz, so it's kind of the same formula, and each of them are the same ingredient. But Connect was obviously better. But
I don't think there's much of a drop off because of the scoring. There's no drop off in scoring because Chaz comes in and just lights it up when someone needs to light it up. But the difference between Chaz Lanier and Dalton Connect is there was no one to really help Dalton Connect. He just had to do it. There's people to help Chaz Lanier. Like, that's the scary thing about this team is which is why I think they could be like a Final Four team, like legit Final Four team. They got size. They've got length. They've got athleticism, especially the size part. The whole team is big. There's no really small person besides Zakai Ziegler. Like, everyone else they're big players. They're not little. They're not little at all. And I don't know. This team's scary, man. Because, like I said, Don Connect, he was the little engine that had to force everything, and he had to turn everything around. But Chaz Lanier's got to help, man. Chaz Lanier, he's got a lot of help.
Yeah, you're 100% right. This team is so freaking deep, and you got guys like Jemai Mashak. I mean, the best defensive player in all the country, and then you got my number one takeaway from this game is like I knew all the other stuff. Igor's an amazing rebounder. Chaz can have that kind of game. Calipari teams they don't have balls for half the time. But the number one takeaway I have is, man, Felix Akpara, he has that in his bag. He has that kind of game. He has a game where he's worth putting out there for 25, 30 minutes. I didn't know that. That was a shock to me. That was by far the best performance of his career since he's been at UT. And I do wonder, though, do you think he played like that because he's been getting better, or do you think he played like that because he knew Adu was the old big man here that he came to replace, and he kind of felt the pressure and thought, oh, I need to have a hell of a game?
Well, I think no. I think you're going to get that from one thing that's certain is I just think Akpara is way more physical than Adu is. And people kept saying like, oh, look, Akpara is doing the Adu thing. No, he's never done that. I'm sorry. He's never been he might have, gotten back down to the rim or something like that, but he doesn't get pushed around like Adu. So I think that Akpara had a game like that against Arkansas because Adu is soft. And Akpara is not soft. So I think that's exactly the reason why Akpara had a game like he did yesterday, which was a pretty solid game causing havoc down low and allowing Milicic to get all those rebounds because he was boxing out and stuff. Like Adu wasn't getting any Adu had like 5 rebounds. Adu had 5 rebounds. Yeah, Adu had 5 rebounds. Same as Sakai, 5 rebounds. So, and that's why I think that it was kind of like that for Akpara, because we saw the Adu that we are known to seeing, and that guy is soft. He gets pushed around, and you can't say he doesn't because he does. So it's a fact.
He would have these games where he looked really great. He did, but then again, there was no dominant big man in those games. If you put a worthwhile big man in front of him, he's going to have a quiet day. He's going to get like 4 points, low rebounds. Well, actually, I will say the rebounding, that he's gotten much worse since he's been at Arkansas. He used to always at least get 9, 10 rebounds. But that was, I think they said that was like one of the worst rebounding games in the history of Arkansas basketball. We absolutely owned them. And apparently Barnes mentioned on a couple of occasions that he was really unsatisfied with the rebounding against Norfolk State the last time out. And they really drilled down on that. And obviously Adu's coming in here, and we just own the paint. What do we out rebound them by 22? It was an absolute domination on all fronts. And Milicic, man, that guy right there, if he can give us something scoring wise and keep up the rebounding and stuff like that, and everything on defense, he could be the key to this team going to the Final Four / winning a national title. I'm serious. Like it was crazy. It's like I'm saying Final Four national title, and I know if like someone like a Kentucky fan or a North Carolina fan or Duke fan was listening to us, they'd laugh their head off at us. We are the number one team. Yeah, right there, motherfucker. We are the number one team in the country with the single most impressive win already. Like this is the team, and we were 1 win away from it happening, and we played a team we weren't allowed to beat in Purdue. So we are getting there. Like it's not a crazy expectation. If we beat Kentucky actually last season in TBA to finish the season, we would have probably been a 1 seed, and we'd have been in the same path Bama went on. And I know for a freaking fact we would have won all those games that Bama won. So it's just.
Well, the basketball team last year, it's kind of like the football team this year. They just run into a buzzsaw. We had Zach Edey, who doesn't get foul calls, and this year he had Ohio State, who was not going to lose when we played them. And hopefully, Sister Jean's get on up there. Hopefully her team is not in it. We don't have to worry about that. And let's see, Purdue, they're not as good
Sucks.
this year. They don't have any freaky white guys or Koreans or whatever Edie was. So, I mean, you hope you don't run into that this year because you do have the team to do it. And that moron's down there laughing. But guys, I was thinking back. We're talking about the depth, but wasn't it Grant Admirals last year? We only played 7 in the tournament, right? Or am I misremembering that? Because you had Bowden played some, and then maybe Fulkerson a little, but you did not play a deep bench that year.
I think your bench Bowden was starting, wasn't he? But the bench was Lamonte, Folky, Pons, maybe Derek Walker. The guy ended up at like Nebraska.
Yeah.
But even then, Pons at that point wasn't what Pons ended up being, though.
He was just to give you like some athleticism.
Speaking of Folky, man, let's talk about Cade Phillips. Cade Phillips is a more aggressive Folky.
All those tall
God, he's so fun to watch, y'all.
He's a lot of fun, man. That guy's so aggressive. He's so mean. He doesn't care about you. I mean, Folky is the same way. Like he didn't care, but Folky was more finesse. I feel like Phillips is just more, he's a banger down low, man. I mean, he's not that much bigger. I mean, he's a little bit bigger than Folky, but he's not huge or massive or big or anything. But you would think he was huge down there because people can't stop him. He gets down low and go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go
did you see where it was against Norfolk State? He got knocked on the ground, hit it hard, and he looked at the camera and went, it's like it looked painful, and he's just like fuck yes, I'm loving this. Like that's that kind of guy I love. Like he's like one of those. He got hurt. He got like I thought he dislocated his arm or something, a shoulder, but and he was holding it really bad, and then he came back in and slammed it.
Oh yeah,
just like 10 minutes later. He's a tough SOB, and we're gonna really need that without Estrella.
Yeah, and I just think, dude, man, he's
Estrella.
This team's they're just aggressive, and I know it's early, and like you said, DR, we're just now in our first SEC game against Arkansas and stuff like that, and we'll get into this in a second because we got Florida on Tuesday night, which Florida scares the hell out of me, like matchup wise. They scare the hell out of me.
That's a good team.
They're a very good team, man. And then you
got
even
TBA, but
and they do have a big that will beat Maine, so I'm really interested to see how we do against him.
Mm-hmm.
The officiating is going to dictate a lot of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Are the students back yet for Florida?
I'd say so.
Oh yeah, they should be.
Know.
They should be.
Were our students back for this game?
No, they weren't.
No, I was going to say if they were, they didn't show up.
They
difference.
I'm pretty sure school starts back tomorrow, so
sure.
I think I'm not sure, but students should be back Tuesday because it's January the 7th. So I mean, I think they're not getting like another 7-day break. I don't think so, but if that's the case, I don't know. They should be back, but that's a hard place to play. Florida's a hard place to play down there, and then in their gym, and then we got Texas on Saturday, of course. I don't know much about Texas. Also, you know much about Texas at all? If they're like what they're like?
They got to get a freshman, Trey Johnson, and outside of that, they're just kind of. I think they're actually going to be one of the 3 teams in the SEC that's going to miss the tournament because they're actually unlucky in this regard. They're kind of like one of those. They're a bubble team, I feel like, but all the games they need to win, like you want your easy games at home and your hard games on the road because I feel like if you just get 8 wins in the SEC, you're good to go to the tournament. But it's like it's hard to win anyone's gym when you have an average team, and they get all their easy games on the road and all their hard games at home. And I feel like they're not good enough to win much of those home games. So I think they're going to go like 4 or 5 conference wins this season and miss the tournament. So you should be good in that game. That team's not very deep. That Rodney Terry will be let go at the end of this year, in my opinion. They got their ass whipped by A&M last time out. Yeah. They're not bad. They're not a bad team. They're just like, if you lose this team, it's on you. Kind of team.
Okay, so I'm looking at Tennessee's rest of their schedule for. Let's see. Let's go through January here. We got, of course, Florida Tuesday. We got Texas on Saturday. Florida's a 7 p.m. game, which it really doesn't matter because it's not like it's a football game where the time slot really matters. You're in a gym, so it's going to be loud regardless. Tennessee goes to Texas. After that, they got Georgia. Vanderbilt, that's a good one, but this one scares me a lot. Tennessee on January 21st against Mississippi State. That one scares me because Mississippi State, golly. They're at Thompson Bowling.
All right.
They're at Thompson Bowling. Tennessee goes to Vandy before they play Mississippi State at Thompson Bowling. But then that's where it gets tricky right here because Tennessee has Mississippi State right before they play Auburn and right before they play Kentucky. So that right there, that little stretch right there, and then they get Florida again right after the Kentucky. So they go Florida this week, and then they do the Texas this weekend, and they play Georgia, and then they go Vandy, Mississippi State, Auburn, Kentucky, Florida again. That's brutal right there, man. That is brutal.
Dude,
so that's a brutal schedule.
I was going through all the SEC schedules earlier today. Everyone's got a stretch like that. Everyone's got a. It's a hellraiser of a conference. There ain't nobody being spared for this shit. Which is why handles.
Which is why I think it's so important that we went to Champaign and beat Illinois at Illinois, because that win right there, I'm telling you, that win right there is a quad one win, and net and like the net rankings, Illinois is what, like 5 or 6 in net rankings right now.
I think they won today, so it should be even higher.
Yes, so Illinois is starting to come along, and that's no little they weren't ranked when we played them, but that's not a push aside game. That's a big game.
I think I saw somewhere at this moment in time, it is the most impressive win in terms of resume in the entire country.
Yeah,
that is absolutely a massive win. And I said right when we won the game, that could be the determining factor between us getting a 1 or a 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this team will be a 1. I think this will be the first 1 seed in Tennessee basketball history. It needs to be. You got to get Mississippi State. You should beat Georgia. You should win at Vandy. You should beat Texas. You got a really good shot at winning, but it's a tough game to win at Florida when they're coming off a loss. So that'd be okay to lose.
Well,
not okay, but
basketball.
It's the one you're supposed to lose, kind of.
I was about to go down our schedule for those next couple of games and ask both of y'all, does Tennessee win them? But it's just basketball's so weird. You can't. It's such a weird thing because, again, it's just like a shooter's chance. But Tennessee's, like you said, Austin, all these SEC teams have murderous row. But actually, let's just go down it. DR, Austin, I'm gonna ask y'all. Florida's number 6. I didn't realize Florida was number 6.
They were undefeated until the OT lost to Kentucky and Lexington.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. All right. So we got Florida. I want to go through the schedule, but then I want to get some of these comments about some football coaches potentially. I'm getting comments. I just want to read them. So we'll go through these comments in a second. If you guys just want to hang in here, we'll get to your comments. Okay. So this weekend, Tuesday, January 7th, 7 p.m., we go down to Gainesville against Florida. What do you guys have for that one?
I think it's a loss. It's our first conference road game of the year. I'm going to go with an L.
Mm-hmm.
I got into my head, I say loss, but actually I will say we can win that game. I will say Florida just lost a close game to Kentucky, and I'd say that's probably the most impressive result of the entire season so far, just being worthwhile against Kentucky. They kind of had an even easier than we did, non-con slate. So I don't know how good they are exactly yet, but yeah, I'd say a loss.
Yeah, I'm gonna go loss too, just because it's basketball and you're traveling on a weekday to Gainesville, and I've been watching Florida. It seems like it's just a bad matchup for Tennessee. It's like a weird matchup. It's a bad matchup. Tennessee, but like you said, Austin, I think Tennessee could go in there and just beat them because Tennessee can beat anyone in the whole daggum country. Tennessee is one of the 5 best teams in the entire country, and it's you just watch them play. They're one of the top 5 teams in the country.
All right, so top 2.
Yeah, it's just they're so good.
Teams.
They're so good, and the
Tennessee
whole
and there's Auburn.
Yeah. And then the whole narrative of who's Tennessee played? Buddy, they've played some good teams. Stop saying they haven't played anybody because they have. So you got that. I got an L chalked up for Florida. But like you said, Austin, we can go in there and win. It's easy. because Tennessee is that good. Tennessee goes to Texas. What you guys got there?
We're winning. Austin went through it earlier. I'm just not impressed with that Texas team. I don't think Rodney Terry's a great coach. I think we win comfortably.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you. I don't know how much you win by, but you need to win that game by like 6-7 points at least. It's on the road. It'll be tough there for a minute. We might trail at half or something. It'll be up and down, but we should come out like not sweating that bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think they go in and take care of Texas. Georgia comes to Thompson Bowling. I think that's just, we're all going to show. I don't know, man. Georgia always plays us hard. It doesn't matter. They always
in
play.
TBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was say usually it's at Georgia's where we struggle. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be like kind of like the Arkansas game, honestly.
That's a really good midweek game too.
I think I'm trying to remember the last time Georgia had us sweating in TBA was the 2018 game where we won the SEC regular season title.
I do remember that.
They had Deontay Maiden, and then we came back. Admiral had that steel dunk where the whole place is the loudest you ever heard TBA. That was the last time I can remember Georgia actually giving us a fight at home.
Yeah.
So and Mike White, I don't know if he knows, but he, if losing to Rick Barnes was a profession, that guy'd be the greatest of all time.
All right, so we all got Tennessee beating Georgia. Tennessee goes to Vandy. That's a tough place to play, even though a lot of the fans in there will be Tennessee fans.
Yeah, I'm going to that game. We're winning. I believe it. They got to win, especially if I'm going to spend that money to go. But I think that's a W.
Yeah, I think they're going to win too. Austin, you chalk that up as a W as well.
I will say we're winning that game. It'll be
one.
tough though. It's what was it? In 2019, we came in as number one. Vandy hadn't won a conference game, and they didn't win a conference game. I think that was the year they went winless in conference. And we needed Grant Williams to have a career high 44 points and win that game in overtime. So it's a game. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, it does scare me. I will say that game, like they just beat LSU on the road. They don't have any bad losses. I don't think they've lost at home yet. That's a good team. That is a good team, and that is honestly, I'd say that worries me definitely more than Texas.
Was that the game that Grant set that free throw record? He was like 24 for 24, something like that.
That's the most points any players have for us, I think, since Lofton.
God, we looked bad that game. I do remember that. Thank God for Grant. That was awful.
Remember that Bowden inbounds though? They threw it to him right in his hand, slammed it. That
was incredible.
Yeah, we came back. We killed our soul. All right, so we all chalk up a W for that one. Mississippi State at TBA. That's a tough one, but it is at TBA.
Yeah, you should win that at home.
I think we're going to win that, but man, that Mississippi State team is lethal.
I'm going to be different. I'm going to say I think we lose. They scare me. They've kind of owned us, man, the last two games. I mean, they beat our butts at the SEC tournament last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Zakai almost came back in that one game we had in Starkville. I remember we played like crap, but Zakai, like, it was down to the wire. And am I misremembering? Dalton. No, Dalton went off, and we almost won that game, but we did lose at the very end. It'll be a good game. I think we're going to win by like 10 points. Because Mississippi State, they do have those off games.
Yeah. That was the game where Dalton, that you're just talking about, where Dalton had like 2 points and you looked up, he had like 23.
Yeah, that was actually, it felt like the start of that. I remember actually losing that game, but being really freaking excited after that game. Because like, holy we had this kind of player.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. All right. We got this one. Good God, this is murder row. Tennessee at Auburn.
Yeah, I don't think Tennessee or Auburn's losing a game at home.
No, we're not. That's going to be a raucous environment. I don't think it's going to be pretty, honestly.
Hardest place to play in the country.
I think Tennessee goes and wins.
Really?
I do. That's the kind of stuff that this team can do. They're going to crush, because you're going to have all of these Auburn people just talking the smack, the garbage. I think they go in there and beat them. I really do.
Can you imagine if we are undefeated going to that game and win that?
Oh, my God.
are we going to go Kentucky? Well, I guess they didn't pull it off, but Kentucky got to the Final Four in 2012 or 2014 undefeated, and there'd be
Frank
discussions
Kaminsky.
like that. Frank Kaminsky, thank God.
That was
for
a great
son of
game,
a
man.
bitch. Oh my God, that was a great game.
So y'all got
Duke, next
Tennessee
round.
losing at Auburn. I got Tennessee going down there and beating them. I just, it's one of those weird things that I have a niche for, of like Bruce Pearl, Tennessee. I don't know why, but
He owned us there for a minute there.
I know, but I can see something like that happening. So I'm going Tennessee in that one. Kentucky comes to TBA January 28th, 7 p.m. game. That is going to be rocking.
And we're winning that.
We're beating the shit out of them.
Yep,
we're going
we
to win
are.
that game by damn near 30. I'm calling right now.
Me and Rainey were talking about that game during the Arkansas game. I just think we shut them down defensively.
Oh,
and they can't play defense whatsoever. Like I don't think that game's close to TBA.
We are going to lose to Auburn. It'll be like by 7 points. It'll be frustrating. One of those games that pisses you off, probably some calls or something. And maybe we didn't take time out for like an hour. I'll let them go on a run. But anyways, we'll be pissed off going into that game. And we're going to wash all that bad taste out of our mouth and beat the living shit out of them. Because last time we played Kentucky, they got us at home. And last 2 times, actually. And I mean, also that was Calipari and teams, very different teams. But yeah, that team right there, they're good. They're good. I'll give them, they're good. But they are young good. They are not really built for nothing real good. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're those kind of teams that clear cap on them. They're going to maybe be like a 4 or 3 seed in the tournament, but they're not going anywhere. They don't play defense.
Yeah. Comment comes in from Lulu. Not sure who Rainey is, but the definition of a dreamer. Got to give you props. Crying emojis. I don't know who you are either because your picture is Lou Holtz.
Let me read that in Lou Holt's voice. That's who Rainey is. All right, that's fine. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
Thanks for chiming in, though. I do love the smack talk. I like it. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
I really couldn't do a Lou Holtz impression until I tried.
No. All right, so we go to that stretch in January. So Tennessee, I see maybe 2 losses in there, 3 possibly. Tennessee is gonna, and then of course every Tennessee fan is gonna jump off a cliff once we lose like 2 games or something like that. So,
the first game, yeah.
No, first game is they're gonna be living.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be more jammed after the first loss, like a voluntary reaction show or the suicide awareness hotline. I mean, it's gonna be full of Tennessee fans and call-in shows and the suicide line.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the Arkansas fan who went on that rant and the GPS kept interrupting?
Yes, that was beautiful.
All right, so
guy. Sorry, off topic here. That guy's hilarious. He when Arkansas lost in the baseball tournament, he kept saying he was gonna kill himself, and now but I guess he didn't. So,
okay. So I'm gonna get through some comments here about football, and Corey Pickett wrote in very early in the show, and I'm just now getting to it. I've said, Austin said, everyone has said, even from us fans that do a podcast to former football players and Jason Swain, those type of guys, you better make some damn changes on this football coaching staff or this is just going to get bad. You got to make some changes. So here's one comment that came in. It says Banks going to Clemson, ? Tim Banks. They want to know if Tim Banks is going to go to Clemson because I've heard from numerous people that Tim Banks is like number 1 on their defensive coordinator board. That I am not a big Tim Banks guy. I'm not. You guys can be. Anyone else can be. I'm not a big Tim Banks guy. I've in big games, in critical moments, the stupid Russian 4 guys, just 4 defenders. It just blows my mind. It pisses me off every time. Anytime we go to any big game, we tuck our tails right between our balls and don't do shit. And then we just sit back and watch the quarterback pick us apart. We did it against Georgia. We did it against Ohio State. We like anytime we play a big game, that's what happens. So I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't care. This is my opinion. I wouldn't care if Tim Banks goes. I wouldn't care because stop pinning your tail between your little balls and blitz everyone like you do everyone else. It blows me away. So that's my number one. And we're going to talk about Pope here in a second. So
well, you're right. He disappeared against Georgia. Like you said, I mean, Ohio State, you got 2 future first-round receivers, and you're playing them one-on-one. Like, I didn't get that but whatsoever. And it would work out good for him to go to Clemson because who are you going to play in the ACC? It's an awful conference, honestly. I think the Big 12 is probably a little bit better than them. So, I mean, yeah, go.
Here's the thing. I don't really care if he goes. He doesn't really recruit the defense. This was the best defense we've had in however many years. It was amazing defense. Do I think he deserves all the credit for it? Not really. He didn't do much of the recruiting. He might have. Can you say he was the brains behind it all? I can't say for certain that. I think you owe Rodney Garner more credit for that because he's built such an insane D line where you can go 11 guys deep into it. That's what made this defense so elite was the fact that no matter where it was a revolving door of elite defensive linemen that were built by Rodney Garner, known to be one of the best recruiters / developers in the history of the Southeastern Conference. And then you traded out all your old DBs that were terrible for pretty good ones you got out of the portal, and Ricky Gibson had a good season. And Arian Carter was great. And that was, I think the position coaches deserve more credit than he does. And you're right. Against Georgia and against Florida last year and against Ohio State, there was too many times where you felt like, what the hell are we doing with this game plan? I've heard people play the argument, by the numbers, we did pressure a good bit and didn't get anything to happen. But my eyes tell me differently. I feel like we have these random games, usually on the road, where we just don't. Our game plan makes zero sense. We bring zero pressure and let guys just sit back in the pocket and pick us apart. And I want a young guy who's going to recruit the living hell out of everybody and be just one of those guys.
I'm gonna say something real quick, and it's probably already been said a million times by people all over social media. But the Patriots just fired a guy that was a defensive coordinator in the NFL. They just fired their head coach. Now, would I mind seeing Banks going to Clemson? I wouldn't really care. That's what you just said, Austin. I wouldn't really care. But you just said, Austin, you want a guy that is a player's coach that recruits. Gerard Mayo. I'm just throwing that out there. It's probably never going to happen. But, man, wouldn't that be cool? That'd be sexy. Cool. That would be sexy as hell, man. That would be – players would just – man, he's a guy that if you get online and you see comments from former players, I've saw a couple, they're like, what the hell, man? Talking about Gerard Mayo being fired in 1 year. And is he a head coach in the NFL? In my opinion, no, not really. But college realm, dude, that dude would thrive as a coordinator in college because he is that dude. What you just said, Austin. He is that kind of dude that relates to everyone, that can recruit. Like, listen here, dude. I went number 7 overall in the NFL draft. I know what the hell I'm doing. That kind of vibe. So that would be a lot of fun. But I don't know. I'm not a big Tim Banks guy. I'm not a big Pope guy. And some of the players have made that really. Josh Heupel's got to make changes. Like, he's got to. You've heard it from so many people. You've got to make the changes. If you don't, I'm losing all hope in you. As a fan, I am. You don't make changes, this team is going to slowly start to really decline. I'm telling you, they're going to decline. Would you agree with that? Don't say I don't know. I think they would.
Well, I'd say no. I think we're going to be about as good as we have been. If you don't make changes, I think it's better than not, but I don't think it's like a must kind of thing.
You've said it a million times. It's a must. What are you talking about?
I said,
you are full of crap.
I don't think we're going to go 5-7 if we don't fire everybody.
You're full of crap.
Did I say
You literally said this has to happen.
I said I was on.
Don't come on here and be all positive and all this bullshit. Say what you really want to say because you say it all the time, and then you come on here and tweet about it, say the same thing about and then be all weird and positive. Tell the people what you really say.
Well, I don't like making it like feast or famine. I never agree with that kind of take. I've always said I think Heupel needs to get better at this. I think Heupel needs to get, yes, he does need to get better at firing head coaches, being aggressive like that. Do I think it's going to be the detriment of everything we've built? No. I don't think it'll all fall apart because you kept Kelsey Pope and your staff.
Who the hell am I talking to right now?
You're either getting better or getting worse. And if you stay like you're staying, I think you get worse. Because that was one of the big complaints I've always heard about Fulmer at the end was he would not get rid of anybody. And look what happened. The game passed him by. And I think you could risk that with Heupel. What worries me about Heupel is he doesn't have that killer mentality anymore. It doesn't seem like I don't like that he's never fired a coach. That's not impressive to me.
That's a problem.
You grow some balls and get rid of the weak link in the chain. And if Pope's the weak link, get his ass out of town. You're too far into it now. You've got too much money invested, especially with NIL, because when fans stop believing and boosters stop believing, the money stops coming in, and then you're done.
Well, my only thing is okay, hear me on this. I think Kelsey Pope has done a terrible job with the receiver room. It's been bad. This season was awful, and you probably should fire him, okay? You probably should fire him. But do you think we lose Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, and Chris Brazzell too? You think we lose every single receiver we have if he's out? If you fired him?
I don't care.
Why wouldn't you care? We'd have no fucking receivers. We have hardly any now. We'd be in a fucking shitty spot. There is nothing in the portal.
Okay.
I remember that argument back. People didn't want Butch fired because they didn't want to lose Cade Mays. I don't want to keep somebody over a coach because I heard that's why. Now I will say it worked out. I heard that's why they kept who is Florida's coach? Austin, I know you'll know this.
Napier.
Billy Napier, yeah, was because if they got rid of him, Lagway would leave.
Yeah,
it worked out. I mean, they looked pretty good at the end of the year, but I don't think you lose those guys because it sounds like with Matthews more worried about the play calling, and Nico was going to be there. Like that, there was no mention of Pope.
Only guy I've seen mention Pope is Caleb Webb, and that's sweet. They said they love Heupel, but they hate Pope. The whole receiver room did.
Here's the thing. Here's my take.
But then Braylon Staley's dad's going on about how much they love him on Twitter. So it's all drama. Crap.
I know, but you look at the field, you look at the stuff that happens. It's not good. Like there is. You have the wide receiver. You just said it, Austin. They haven't been good. I don't care what the players say. No. Oh, we like them. I don't give a shit what you say. The product on the field is shit. So I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, well, the players. No, stop. You're not producing. I don't care who we lose over it. You've got to get a coach in there that can coach. You can take a good coach and take some 3-star wide receivers and make a good offense. Or you can have what we had last year, some good-ass wide receivers that don't do shit because our coaches can't find a way out of a paper bag.
What do you think was the main problem with the offense this season?
1 offensive line, 2 wide receivers.
What would you say, DR?
Same. It's kind of like Richard said, we got to address the offense line. I think the line clicked a little end of the year, but I don't know, man. That goes back to it's the play calling because they're not creative anymore, or they just didn't believe in the receivers and the quarterback play. Because you look at them receivers, man, there's absolutely no separation. That's why Squirrel White left. Good, go. I'm ready to get some new blood in there. And it worked out when we got cleared the DB room last year compared to this year.
Yeah, because you remember when people were like, oh, my God, we're losing this player, that player. Well, guess what happened? We got better. We didn't get worse. We got better. So that's why I will say
we wanted Willie Martinez gone badly, and he didn't get him gone, and we got really better at DB. So I guess there's some argument for that.
No. I'm going to say this one thing. No, listen. You can laugh all you want to. But guess who the best player was on our defense as a DB? Who was it?
McCoy?
Someone who played somewhere else before he came here.
So we're
The only
getting from the receiver.
the only player that turned his head to intercept the ball. Why did no other defensive player turn their head? Why?
Well, Brooks did. Well,
Why?
he was a safety.
No, he's a safety. He didn't turn his head.
I'm saying he got a lot of interceptions.
No, not, and stop going down a different path here. Tell me, which DB was the only one that turned his head?
McCoy,
Thank you. Where'd he come from?
Oregon State for a season.
Didn't play at Tennessee. Apparently, someone told him to turn around and look for the ball because he did a pretty good damn job of it. No one else did. No one else did.
I will say that's the problem with the DBs. Under Willie Martinez, my thing is like, it's so weird in this modern age of college football because you fire a coach, you can lose the entire room. I will say there is some argument around that, but I would have fired Kelsey Pope. I would have, because if you're literally having these players say they don't want to play for him, but if you had the players remaining say that we're gone if you fire him, so it's a catch-22. What the hell do you do? We can't lose every receiver we have. We'd be so screwed for the next season. And I know you're saying, well, they'll be better, the new guys. No, there's not really any new guys left to grab.
What I'm saying,
everyone's but Amari Jefferson's taken.
What I'm saying is you have to make the coaching changes before stuff gets better. Like, you can continue to roll out these 5 stars and these 4 stars. It's not going to get any better. It's been the same. Like, it hasn't been like the last 2 seasons. Joe Milton. You have Joe Milton at quarterback. You have Nico at quarterback. It looks the same. There's no difference. It looks the exact same.
I think a big problem was people adjust to our offense. That was a big problem. And Nico being a little inexperienced was a major problem. The O-line being bad for half the season was a big problem. The receivers were a problem. They're the reason you didn't blow the Kentucky game wide open. It's kind of a mixed mash of who to blame every single week. It felt like that's why I'm like, you just gotta hope Nico takes a big step forward. You know, he should, getting older. You need to make sure you have a worthwhile offensive line. I mean, hell, if Umarov and Satterwhite, if they aren't good starters in the SEC, I mean, there's already enough argument of LRB should be fired, but that is, you have to fire him at that point because I know he's good friends with the Heupel and you've been with him for however long.
Yeah, and the offensive line has been straight garbage. Like, you can't. And I understand what you're saying. And the reason I get so mad and frustrated is because I'm seeing the same mistakes, and I cannot stand seeing the same things over and over again and saying everything's fine. That's just so stupid to me. That's why I get mad. And when you start, I like Heupel. I like him a lot, and I don't want to see him fail. But you're going to fail if you don't make changes. Former players, wide receivers, linebackers, defensive ends, all over Twitter, all over social media have said the same thing. Byron Moore, he came on our show. He DMs me. He texts me. He says, this is not good. You've got to make changes. He's a former player. Like, he knows the shit. He knows what has to happen for things to get better. And that's the reason why I get so mad, because I really like Heupel. I really do. And I care about Tennessee sports so much. And I don't want to go down the path of, you don't make changes, we start to slip and go further down. And then the fan base starts to turn on you. And that's when it gets really bad. So I want to see Heupel and this team succeed so badly. But, dude, you got to make the changes. Like, you can't keep the same shit. Like, you can't keep you can't keep rolling the same mistakes out there over and over again, because that's exactly why, Austin, what you just said, teams are figuring this out, because Ohio State player came out. What did he say, DR? What did the Ohio State player say?
You talking about, like, we were showing what we were doing, how we were very predictive?
He already knew what we were doing.
Yeah. And Georgia said the same thing, too.
They already knew.
They were our linemen.
They knew exactly every play.
Tate Ratledge, didn't he? He said that he saw the linemen's formation and immediately knew.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
That was a position I kind of thought we'd be super elite at. And that shocked me, because that's the Ronnie Garner coach position group.
And that, I mean, I agree. Nico's got to continue to progress, but, like, that's not what my top 3 concerns for next year. It's going to be play calling, coaching, and what we do with the offensive line and wide receivers. Because if they suck, it don't matter how good Nico is at all.
Well, it's just the creativity. This will be the third year of Nico learning this offense. You can't tell me you can't be creative. You can't tell me throughout later in the season you couldn't be creative. That's BS.
No, look what Hendon Hooker did in 1 year in the system with Javonte Payton.
Like you can't tell me that can't be learned real quick. Like people are like,
do you feel like a lot of that though was people not being ready for what we're coming with? People,
what do you mean?
Like not having like a lot of the theory right now is people have adjusted to what Heupel runs, and that's a big problem with our offense.
I think that's stupid because go back. What DR? You said Javonte Payton. Go back. Name a time this year where we schemed a guy open. Name one time. I will wait all podcast.
Well, we had a lot of them against Alabama, but we threw it right over their heads.
Just scheme a guy open. That's not scheming a guy open. You had like the play against Alabama when we won in 2021 or 22, whatever year it was, where Jalen Hyatt comes out of the backfield and he just flicks it to him and he's gone. Like that, you can't tell me that Nico can't do that with this fast player. You can't tell me that's too difficult. That's what baffles me about this is because you can be really creative. It's not that hard. You watch teams like Toledo in Western Michigan, they do that shit. You can't tell me we can't do that stuff. Like it's just you got to scheme guys open if a quarterback's not like if a quarterback isn't ready or he's just not seeing defenses, that's how you make a quarterback feel comfortable. Hey, we're gonna do little things. We're gonna put a wide receiver in motion. Hey, just flip it to him. Let him go. That's what I'm saying. There wasn't none of that this year. It was four wide, it was like a 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 2 wide receivers, a tight end. It's the same formation. Shotgun, drop back, stand there, nothing. It's the same thing. Like I don't think people have figured out Heupel's offense. I just think there was no creativity at all.
Would you say that's lack of players or
no? That's what I just said.
Is it the fact that Golesh is off the staff? And my thing is like, I don't feel like Golesh was the creativity. I've always said this. I don't think he was that. I think day in, day out at practice, though, he was the disciplinarian. He was the bad cop. And I feel like there's a lack of discipline. There's a lack of just like continuity with the team. I feel like they're just out there standing, just showing up. And it's just there's no emotion behind it. It's just kind of like,
okay. You say that about the bad cop, good cop, bad cop. I've heard that just word salad garbage all over social media. Who's the guy that kept people in check? No,
I think it's a big difference.
Go watch UCF. It's the same damn plays. Scheming guys open. I cannot stand that.
4-8.
He kept people in check. I don't care. Go watch the offense. I don't care what his record was.
Sure.
He's got shitty players. He got good play. He doesn't have good
players. They went 7-6. What I think they went 4-8.
He's schemed like go. You saw it all over Twitter. Oh wow, that looks just like Tennessee's offense back in the day with Heupel first. Don't shake your head at me.
No, I'm looking at a tweet. I'm looking at a tweet. Do you see what Kim Mulkey learned today?
What are we talking about Kim Mulkey for?
Because I saw on Twitter.
What the hell are we talking? Put your phone down.
You say on smile.
Put your phone down. We're talking football, not Kim Mulkey. What the hell are we talking about Kim Mulkey?
Basketball. Hoop around your waist.
God. Squirrel. There's Austin Squirrel.
You were asking what I was smiling about.
God. Anyway, sorry. I went on a rant there. Rants. I know. I'm going on a rant because oh, God.
We got 9 months to be angry, man.
I know.
Okay, to close this thought, okay. Just it has to get better. Just period. And Heupel knows this more than anybody, period. Like, he knows this. Like, you see in the post-game shows and whatnot, he will, like they mentioned, you haven't scored a touchdown in the first half or back-to-back games. Like, yeah, really hope that changes. You can tell. Like, you can look at that man's face. He is frustrated beyond belief after those terrible offensive games. And I've heard from people from around that there is going to be a lot of adjustment, a lot of changes to the offense. He knows that he needs to change a lot. And because this is back-to-back years now running the same issues, and something has to give. something has to give. And he's a guy. I've heard from a lot of people this. He's very prideful in those offensive numbers. His offense is a big pride point for him, to the point where he'd sacrifice defensive numbers and maybe even wins and losses on occasion to have those great offensive numbers. And this is killing him. What we've had the last 2 years, this is killing him. And I'm gonna put all my trust in him to figure that shit out, because this is unacceptable, and he knows it more than anyone.
Mm-hmm. It is unacceptable, and I know we won 10 games. You can say what you want, and it's good. I'm not disagreeing with that. Winning 10 games is fine, but you just see the red flags of the trajectory of where it could go. I don't want it to go that way. I want it to go the other way, and you've got to make the changes before it gets going the other way. So, man.
The red flags. Do you see where Alabama forced the board to fire their co-DC? And they've lost about, 30 players to portal, maybe more.
But guess
Really?
what? They're going to pick up 30 more.
I don't know, man. I think this is, I'm just going to say this right now. I think this is kind of the moment where Alabama really starts to go through a little bit of a downfall.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
This is how it goes. I
hope you're right.
You don't have a good year or an expectation year. They force you to make changes in your staff.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you fail, even worse, because your roster's getting worse, then you might go 7-5 because your schedule's a hellraiser kind of schedule, and then they fire you, and then they hire a guy that's even going to have a worse time because you won't be patient with him either.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of like the downfall. I'm projecting a lot, but I've always had this theory that when Saban left, it would just be, well, you're not as good as Saban, we're going to fire you. You're not as good as Saban, we're going to fire you. And they end up where we were in like 2013.
Mm-hmm.
That's my hopes and dreams that are currently in motion.
What were you going to say, DR?
I lost my train of thought. I was looking at something Philip Fulmer had just put out about testing positive COVID. I think he got hacked or something. Well, no. Okay, I do remember my thought. I did see where David Pollock expects for half the Georgia roster to transfer. That's wild to me. Like, yeah, you're going to lose some players. Like you said, like, they'll get 30 more in, but half the roster, man, that's insane to me.
Yeah, in Knoxville, that's a must-win.
Yeah,
in the year,
yeah,
next year.
100%. Yeah,
Gunner Stockton.
They just lost.
Really,
they're gonna lose like maybe half their roster to their portal, but I mean they just filled 2 more spots. Two guys.
I don't know
USC.
though, man. You saw the drop off this year with the portal.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia.
Yeah,
and that's gonna continue that direction, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I saw a good tweet. I don't know who this guy was a fan of, but he was talking about Georgia, and he said in it, he's like, I've always said that Georgia's dynasty was closer to Clemson's than Alabama's. I've been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah,
which I think nowadays you're not going to have a Bama run like this.
Man,
That was a really good tweet. And I've really been thinking about that a lot. But yeah, nobody's going to come close to Alabama, especially the NIL. Like, you're not going to be able to stock players. I know that's said 1,000 times.
Kirby,
I've thought about that a lot.
That's really good.
Kirby and Dabo do share a lot of similarities. Like,
They got
do.
hot
yeah,
at the right time. They won like what they win back-to-back national titles?
they won 2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3.
Made it.
But yeah, that's a good one, DR. That's really good.
You could be right. SEC East was about as bad as the ACC at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a good podcast, Joe.
Yeah, it was, man. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for letting me get mad. A lot of frustration.
Can't wait to see you tomorrow.
It's that hat he's wearing, Austin. I'd be mad too.
I got that one pick.
Hey, whoa. My Tennessee Oilers
My
Tennessee Oilers.
I think that should be. I think those Oilers uniforms, the colors, that should be their permanent color scheme. Those are the most beautiful uniforms.
They need to stop with the whole navy blue and replace that with baby blue. You can still have the same Titans.
Yeah, 100. Yep.
You
just replace it.
Yep.
You need to change the name to Tennessee, or keep the name Tennessee Titans, but change the uniforms and make a new logo where it's like the Titans but Oilers.
No,
style.
you can keep the thumbtack, the flaming thumbtack. I like that logo.
You don't need the Yeah, we don't need the oil rig thing, but
No.
keep everything else.
Keep the flaming thumbtack, the T with the flames, but just put the helmet back as white and have more baby blue. That's all you got to do. But
I want to go Oilers uniforms though. Those are my favorite. But change the logo to something else.
yeah,
Titans.
Just the logo they got on their helmet right now. Just change the helmet to white. But real quick before we get off here, who do you have Tennessee? Who do you have Tennessee taking as number one, or who do you want them to take as number one?
Who do I want?
Yes.
Content-wise, Shedeur Sanders. And I was listening today. They're talking about how actually Dion likes Rand Carthon. And so, like, they're not necessarily going to be against the Titans getting him. Content-wise, I think that'd be good. Honestly, this is a bad year for the number one pick because I don't really believe in any of those quarterbacks, honestly.
Dude, I don't care about quarterbacks right now. Give me Travis Hunter with every bing in my body.
That's
dude. That's
the right answer.
I put that on Twitter, and people are like, they don't need a DB. I was like, I don't care.
Get the best player in the draft.
Get the best player. You can get rid of a DB. I don't care. Get rid of one of those DBs. Guess what? You replace them with the next like Deion Sanders player. Like Travis Hunter. People, this is one thing that gets on my nerves. And me and Austin talked about this. This gets on my nerves when people are like, "Oh, he's overrated." No, the hell he's not. You watch that guy play. If you say that, you
he's the best player in the country.
Clearly, haven't watched him play.
Not even close. He's the best player.
100% awesome. It's not even close. That dude is the best player I've seen all year in college football, and it's not even close. Not even close. But would you agree with that, DR? Would you take Travis Hunter over the whole field?
Yeah, because I think you could get Will Brooks in the second round. He probably wouldn't be there in the third, but I would definitely do that. But no, that's the right answer. As bad as the Titans are, you just need to get some athletes on there, man. Best player in the draft.
Hey, is that the poodle? Never mind.
Mm-hmm. This is Harper. Mm-hmm. $1,000 puppy.
It's pretty dog.
It's pretty dog.
When'd you get him?
It's her. And
when'd you get her?
My parents got her. We're dog sitting for them. Yeah, they got her. I think the same week we played Ohio State. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should have to dog sit that dog for anytime they ever want it. But anyways, we're gonna log off of here. It was a good podcast. We'll do it again soon, my friends. Titans, don't do something stupid. Draft the best player on the board and don't do something stupid. Do not draft an offensive lineman or I will murder you. Draft the best player, build around it. That's what you got to do. And Austin has got Simba up here, $1,000 puppy. Anyway,
well, yeah, you're right. And draft a player that doesn't have a huge history of injuries, like that DB they took a few years ago from Virginia Tech, and
Farley.
Farley.
Yeah.
Good God. Anyways, all right, guys, that was fun. We'll do it again next week. We need to hit some trivia up soon. So,
because I've been itching for that.
Yeah, but anyways, all right. Good night. Good Wolves. God bless. Peace out.
Good Lord.